Hi there, and welcome to Your Life Matters. Glad to have you on with us tonight. I'm with Debbie tonight. It's good to have her on here because we're going to be talking about relationships, and we're going to be talking about how you foster a relationship, how you grow those relationships, and possibly even marriage. There may be some folks on here that aren't married yet, so we'll be talking a little bit about marriage too. And next week, we'll get into more of this marriage situation as we're talking about spending time together and time apart. Hey, Ashley. And also how to argue. Oh, what a great thing that is. We learned early on how to argue, what each of us expect, and how to handle each other. Hey, Peggy. So let's talk tonight a little bit about how you form a relationship to start with. Relationships start off with the way that people are visually appealing. I know when our relationship started, heck, I didn't even know it was going to start. Debbie's the one that found me. But you've got to be, what would you say, visually appealing?
Yeah, I think so.
You got to have somebody that's, guys,
you're attracted to.
Work on yourselves. Hey, Russell. Work on yourselves and make sure you're visually appealing to a young lady. So tell them the story about how we met.
All right. I went to a church in Atlanta, and hopefully to meet someone was my main concern. It was a singles kind of church, so I went every Sunday. And Charles had a friend that knew about this church and said, let's go. And so they both came down.
And I was going through a divorce, so I was just looking for anybody. I was so heartbroken and so in search of.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was and Debbie was in search of.
Yes,
yeah.
I'd been praying for the right person to come along. And he came to the church one Sunday, and he came in late.
I hate coming in late. I despised. I couldn't believe we were going in late. I hate that.
Well, he was coming in late, and everyone was seated. So, of course,
large church.
A large church. I saw him, and I thought, oh my goodness, I have to meet this man. And we have in this church we had coffee for everyone after church, and so I wiggled my way over to the coffee area, and of course...
Did she wiggle? Well, I didn't notice her at the time, though.
Well, Charles is a big coffee drinker, so of course he went for the coffee, and I just approached him there and asked him. I was dancing an awful lot then, going to singles dances, and I asked him to come to a dance that night with me, and he said, of course. And so I went to the dance that night with great anticipation, and he showed up.
I was staying with my buddy in Gainesville, and this was over almost out Marietta. I mean, it was way over. It was like 50 miles from us.
Yeah.
And it had snowed and sleeted that afternoon.
It did.
And my buddy Tony said, I don't think we're going to go tonight. And I said, oh, heck no, we are going. I'm going to meet this gal. We are going to go over there, and we're going to talk. So we did. We slipped and slid all the way to Marietta, and she was there.
And we ended up dancing very little, talking a great deal, probably a good 3 hours, and got to really know each other well. And, of course, it went from there. And
that was what was I had a point here I was going to make. That was in October. Well, we got married October 11th of 1993. So next week we'll be celebrating our 30th anniversary.
That's right.
And people said it wouldn't work. They always say that about every marriage. There's always some naysayers.
Second marriage, they always want to say that.
And it was our second marriage. So that gave us a little bit of opportunity to know what we liked and what we didn't like. We sure knew what we didn't like.
That's right.
We really didn't know enough about how to love and what we liked.
Well, I think the important thing for me to interject here is that I, for about 3 months, prayed fervently, in tears many times, because I was so lonely and wanted the right person. And I prayed very hard and very specifically for the man that I wanted. I liked him short, not tall. I liked a mustache, and he had a mustache. I liked dark hair. He had dark hair.
None of that exists anymore.
None of that exists anymore, but that's okay. But I prayed specifically for the kind of man I wanted and what his interest would be and this kind of thing. And God came through.
Yeah,
It just came through.
I wanted a female with a pulse. No, I did have a list of things I wanted to, but I probably wasn't as distinct about defining my area as she was. But I got everything I wanted, so that was the good thing about it, and more.
I think at first you felt that way, but as our relationship deepened, I believe you came in touch with the things that you wanted more than you did right up front.
Right. And we made a point of going to a counselor. Debbie had a friend of hers who was a counselor. We went to a counselor very early on. Like 2 or 3 weeks into our relationship, and started talking with her, and she guided us through it. And she's the one that gave us so many of the tips we're going to give you, like how to argue. That was one of the things that Anna helped us with, and I would never have thought that was a big issue, but that's been a big plus for us, and we'll guide you through some of those things as well.
Okay.
By the way, I've missed some of the folks that are on here. Thank you, David. I see you watching. April, hey there. Chad, thank y'all so much for tuning in. So let's talk a little bit about if you have a relationship. It's not one and done, so to speak. You have to work at it. There's some things that you have to do, and there's some things that we do. We chose to be happy. We chose that every morning we're going to wake up and be happy. I did not have that in my first marriage. And Debbie had a control issue in her first marriage. So both of us found that there were things that we wanted and things that we needed from the other person, and we shared that with each other.
Right. And we had a conversation about how we were going to treat each other from the get-go.
Yeah.
And we've stayed true to that.
Yeah.
And I think
people do how you treat people, how to treat you. That's the important thing. Yeah.
People how to treat you.
Right.
Yes.
And that's not so much telling them. It is through action and saying, I don't really like it when you say that. A lot of times you'll have a pet name for somebody and they'll say, I don't really like that. Let's not do that anymore. So you never know, but you just try things. So expect to work on things, on maintaining your relationship. Remember, you're in love, but you may not feel it. Sometimes we're ruled by our feelings, and those, I guess, the butterflies of the. You talk about those days whenever we were courting each other, and I mean the emotions were high, the adrenaline was up, all of the hormones that have the sexual things were all raging.
That's right.
And that fades after a while.
It does.
And so you can't always be ruled by what your feelings are. You just know that you're in love. It's a knowing thing more than a feeling thing some days.
I think the initial sexual tension and the infatuation that you have with each other does fade after a while, but it should be replaced with deeper, truer love, and not have so much of the excitement that we had first off.
And some people never get past that point, I don't think. They expect that excitement level to be there, and then when it's not, that's when they go out searching for someone else to have that same level with.
Right.
And I think being true and faithful is we didn't even put that in our list because that's kind of the foundation. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of under everything is faithful and true.
But it's replaced with different feelings of deeper love,
respect.
And a deeper care and respect.
Yeah.
Yes. And of course, if you've made a pact with each other in the beginning to always be kind and always try and say kind things, and even in an argument, be kind. Be open. And be open.
Sometimes, and we've had this situation before, we'll get into some kind of a disagreement over something, and we'll find out that maybe what I said was not really what I meant.
Right.
And Debbie's very open when I say, no, you took that wrong. What I meant was such and such. Mm-hmm. Now, that didn't happen in previous relationships I'd had. By gosh, they were going to be right no matter what, and I was going to be wrong. There was no amount of understanding that went on.
Let me say this, that there's a famous saying that, would you rather be right or would you rather be happy? And sometimes when you think you're right, it's not worth getting into an argument over. Just let it pass and be happy instead.
Yeah, and pick your battles. you can nitpick over anything. I can nitpick myself to death, much less her or anybody else. But pick your battles. There's no need in being ornery and aggravating
There's
about
no-
every little thing that
That's
pops
right.
up that you don't like.
That's right. Let some things go that don't matter. Don't make them an issue. Don't get into that. Don't get into that trap. It is a trap. Just, be kind.
Yeah, yeah.
Just be kind.
One of the things that I think we talked about respect. We just touched on that a moment, but having that mutual respect for each other, and especially in public. Hey, Ashley, that is so important when you're out in public and you see people and they see the way that we react to each other.
Right.
We react no differently when we're at home than we do in public.
Right.
We act just the same, but we're behind each other. We've got each other's back. We're each other's strongest cheerleader, and yet we spend a significant amount of time apart. I think everybody knows I'm at the racetrack a lot. I'm doing football. Debbie does craft shows. I try to attend as many of those with her as I can. But we have a lot of things that we do separately. And I will say this, Debbie is much more of a homebody than I am. She likes her home. She feels safe in her home.
In many ways, we are opposites.
Yeah, but that attracts. But we're not opposites in, like, you're a fiery redhead and I'm a meek little man that takes anything. Not that kind of opposites.
I mean,
Our
you're right.
interests.
I am a homebody, and I like staying home. I like being in my room, cuddled up with, my kitty cat and my TV. And he likes to be out and about. He's very much introverted over me.
No, extroverted.
Extroverted, excuse me. I'm the introvert. He's the extrovert. But we just make it work. I don't resent where he goes and what he does. And I don't think he resents the time I spend at home. He actually comes and spends time with me doing what I like to do. So we spend time together.
And we talk often.
Right.
Thank goodness we have cell phones nowadays.
Right.
Because I call her as soon as I get in the car or truck or start to leave anywhere and say I'm on the way home, so she knows where I'm at and what I'm doing.
Right.
And we talk often. So we appreciate each other's strengths, and we also appreciate each other's weaknesses. We kind of fill in the gap.
Right.
And there's many times, even when I'm speaking, which I kind of do that professionally, so I'm used to it, but there's still times when I'll make a faux pas and Debbie will step in and kind of bridge the gap. So we help each other whenever we have a moment of weakness somehow or another. So one of the things that we did early on is we asked each other, what can I do to help make you happy? And I think some people get off on the foot of, they get aggravated at their spouse or the other person in the relationship, and they really kind of egg on things to happen bad. They want to see them fail.
Yeah.
I think that they want to see them fall flat on their face. Maybe they have resentment for something.
Yeah.
But we have never done that. We always talk to each other about what makes you happy and what can I do to help you. And I think that's important.
I do too.
Yeah.
I do too.
So we have I don't think we have a model marriage. Would you say it's a model marriage? It's pretty good.
Pretty good.
Yeah, I don't think there's a whole lot that's gone wrong.
if
But
you
we've
ask me
been through a
what
lot of challenges now.
Well, if you ask me what I would change, I really can't come up with anything that I would change.
Yeah.
I'm just very happy the way it is.
Because of the way that it has evolved.
Right.
Now, at the very beginning, we probably wouldn't have had a checklist of all the things that we've done, or certainly all the things that happened to us.
After our initial courtship, which I've considered the happiest time of my life was our courtship. After that, we got serious about gaining custody of Charles's daughter. And this was a very, very difficult situation, the divorce and the custody. We acquired custody, but it was a long battle and it was a hard battle, and it required some fighting on our part. I think sometimes in life we are called on by God to fight.
And by God, I didn't like it.
He did not like it at all, but there were things we had to do to get custody of this child and get her in a safe place. So that was a very difficult time.
Yeah,
It
was difficult. Again, I wouldn't have written the script like it has turned out, but now looking back on it, everything was kind of a stepping stone, and
Yeah.
it prepared us for things down the road. So that was
Yeah.
important. Yeah. Now remember, we met when we were in I had just turned 40, and so had you. We met when we were in our 40s. So we both had 17, 18-year marriages prior to this.
Right.
And I think in those when you get married back in those days, we got married as just
20.
out of our teenage years. And you really don't know what you want, and you don't know how to love. I'm
No.
not sure you know what love is.
No, I don't think so either. I really don't think so either. I think I was just really anxious to get my own home life, my own family, and I just married the wrong person for that. And, I was very inexperienced, very young, and I started a family right away. And so I made a very difficult time of it for myself doing that. So second time around, when Charles came around and we realized we had to get custody, we knew we were going to have to join up together and fight like heck to get this child in a safe place, and we did. But I look back at it, and it was a very difficult time for our marriage.
Yeah, it very was. It was. A lot of tension, a lot of things going, a lot of being put off, having to wait months and months and months for everything to come down the pike.
Right.
The legal system does not work fast.
No, it does not.
And so, but anyway, we sat down and we kind of talked to each other about what makes you happy and what made me happy, and we've not really varied from that too much.
No.
We still operate off most of those same things. Occasionally, something new will come up, or even something will come up. For instance, I mentioned the depression thing several weeks ago when we talked about it. We had been probably married 2 or 3 years when Debbie came to me and she said, "I've got to tell you something. I suffer with depression." Well, it wasn't anything new to me. I kind of knew it.
Yeah.
It's the first time she had vocalized it, but I already knew it.
Well,
I had some familiarity
I've had
with it.
episodes of it throughout our marriage, and Charles is very supportive of me when I'm in those times. I'm a homebody anyway, and I like to stay home and be in my bed many times. But when I'm depressed, I overdo that. And he understands, and he doesn't push me. He just supports me.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about love and support.
Yeah.
Support of your spouse is very important. There's a lot of things that you can do to support your spouse without it being hollow sounding.
Yeah.
You can support them. You can tell when I'm really supporting you and when I'm just giving you lip service. When I'm just saying, "Hey, I support you, do whatever you want."
Not very often.
Right.
Encouraging each other is real important to support. It is for me.
Yeah.
It feels very supportive when you say encouraging words to me.
And you know what's the most, I read this the other day, a quote about it. It said, "What is the definition of love?" And it said, "Being present." And I think, that's probably, you boil it down to the very nth degree. If you're present whenever your spouse is speaking, or your significant other, or your child, that's how you show them love, is being present in the conversation. Don't look at your phone. Don't be, looking at TV and just kind of half listening. Be present at everything that's going on.
And sometimes you do that. And I say, I'm talking to you now, and I need you to put your phone down for a minute and listen to what I have to say. And he always does.
Yeah.
Without resentment.
Right. And, I mean, our phones are our livelihood nowadays. It's amazing in the last 40 years what's happened with phones. Used to, we didn't have anything like that.
I think that's true for everyone.
Yeah, and we all face that right now. I heard one of my mentors the other day saying, when you're talking to somebody in the grocery store and your smartwatch beeps that you have a message, don't stop and look at it in the middle of the grocery store. Continue to talk to people. And I haven't, when that thing buzzes, you pick it up and look at it. We're just trained to do that. Thank you. I'm Hollow Spring. I'm not sure who you are. Every time I see that, I'm trying to remember who exactly that is. Anyway, thanks. Yeah, we do enjoy being together. And I always have more viewers when I have Debbie on here. Add a pretty face on here, and that really happens. Anyway, one of the other things that I wanted to talk to you about is complimenting each other. That's something that I think we need to do every day, and that's what Debbie and I do. We compliment each other on routinely throughout the day.
I don't know how much you need that, but I need it a lot. And I think a lot of my fellow friends that are female feel the same way. Females just enjoy being complimented. It shows that their spouse is still interested in them and likes the way they look, and it doesn't mind saying it. You know?
Yeah. And little unexpected things like flowers or just little things like that mean so much. And Debbie is so appreciative of something like that. I can bring in just $9.95 flowers from Ingles or Walmart, and she just loves it.
Sometimes he gets them from the yard. He'll pick them out of the yard and bring them in to me, and that means so much to me. It really does.
Well, during the Depression era, Debbie was in bed like 8 years and didn't get out of bed except to go to the doctor in the bathroom. So during that time, I started doing, I like to do the cooking anyway. I love to cook, as you know, by my Healthy Happy Hour. But I also started doing the dishes and most of the washing and putting away a lot of things. And I've just continued that. I got used to it and I enjoy doing it. So that's not a problem. But little things like that, I can take off her now, and that's just less of a burden. You have to understand, when someone deals with depression, the slightest thing is overwhelming to them.
It is.
And if she thinks, oh my gosh, I've got to fold the laundry and put it away, that may be a big issue. So we have learned what works for us.
Right.
And we do it without resentment. Both of us do. Yeah, I know, Shane. She is better to look at than me. That's why I like looking at her, too. I don't look in the mirror near as much as I look at her. So little find your spouse doing something, even if it's something as simple as putting out a new roll of toilet paper that they did without just leaving the roll there.
Yeah.
Guys, I don't know about you, and I know I'm going to get some feedback on this.
Don't leave the seat up.
I leave the seat down all the time, and I'll tell you why. This is going to get kind of gross. I don't even. And I know I shouldn't say this. Everybody's going to say I'm such a wuss. I don't even pee standing up. And here's why. It's not because I'm not a man. It's because Debbie's got every room wallpapered with this expensive hand-painted wallpaper. And if I were to splash on that and it started getting...
It'd be all over.
Yeah,
I'm telling you.
I cannot splash on the wallpaper. And, of course, we can't control our splash. So, enough about that.
But it's a little thing that I really appreciate. It really is. I really appreciate it.
And, in my first marriage... Oh, this is terrible to say. In my first marriage, I did a bit of defiance. She always wanted the seat put down, too. So you know what I did? I lowered them both down. I thought, if you're going to make me put the seat down, you're going to have to raise up at least one of them.
And what we're saying in this whole program is don't do those things.
We've grown. We have grown.
That's right.
Now, again, in my first marriage, we would give each other zingers. We would see who could top each other with insults and things like that. And that's just horrible. You say you don't hear those things, but I have a good memory, and I can go back and remember every one of those things. Yeah. Oh, terrible.
It is terrible.
So let's talk about making decisions.
Okay.
We have chosen, there are times when Debbie will say, what do you think about such and such? And I'd say, I don't care. You make the decision. Because those are things of design, and she is the designer. I tell her, I said, I have a designer. Why would I want to inject my
But I'm
word?
also married to a designer who's a wonderful, wonderful woodworking designer. I can turn him loose with the project, and it will turn out just over and above what I
Yeah, but that's
what
not
I like.
that's not the point.
Well, the point is when I ask you to give me your opinion, I really want your opinion.
Yeah, but sometimes I have no opinion, and it's okay to have no opinion.
And I've learned that.
But here's the caveat to that. When I say I have no opinion, you do what you want, then I don't have the right to criticize it if I don't like it because I had no input. So I feel like that's my responsibility, not to say anything negative about it if I didn't like it because I didn't have any input in it. But we choose the things that we want to make decisions about. There are things that I make decisions of that Debbie doesn't want any input in. For a long period of time, she did our bills and all of our accounting and all of that kind of thing. And then when the Depression hit really heavy, she just couldn't handle that anymore. And I took it all over. So now we've completely rolled reverse.
And he has a totally different system doing that. You have no system. And I'm very organized. So he has a very different way of doing things. And it aggravated me for a while. And I decided, everything gets done well I should not be aggravated at the way he does it. Even it's different than the way I would do it, but it's okay. It's just okay that he do it his way.
Yeah, she walks into my office and just shakes her head. It is absolutely, totally against
But it
anything
works
she would
for
do.
him, and my desk works for me. It does.
So anyway, we have learned how to make decisions. We collaborate on most every decision. And when I say there's not like my stuff and her stuff. Most of everything we do is collaborative.
Yes.
But there are a few areas that I just handle and a few areas that she just handles.
Right.
We always collaborate on our schedule, especially now that I am quote unquote retired. I got racetrack still asking me to come do races, so I collaborate with her and say, do you have anything going on this weekend? Can I go to the racetrack, please? So that's the way that works out.
He does do that.
Yeah, and so that gives me a chance to get back.
And you know, as much as I want him at home, I realize he needs to go to the racetrack. He just needs to go, so I just say, okay, and I find something to do during that time.
And you know what? It's not the racing I miss. I don't care about the battles on the racetrack. It's the people.
Yeah,
man, I just love my people at the racetrack.
And you're very extroverted, so you need that.
Yeah.
You need to be with people.
The yellow hat has to be out.
That's right. The yellow hat has to be out.
Well, listen, next week we're going to continue, and next week we're going to talk about, let me get to the top of my notes here. Next week we're going to be talking about spending time together and apart. That's what we talked just a little bit about tonight, about how we spend our time together, the things we do, and the things that we do separately, and why we do those things separately, and how we incorporate each other in those. I go to the craft shows with her now, and I sit there, and oh, Lordy, I'm one of these that likes to go out and foster business and bring people in.
Well,
I hate when I'm sitting there waiting on people to come.
He's always visiting all the people around us and getting to know all the other vendors around us, and that's really funny to watch.
Well, I'm a relationship guy.
Right.
You're a relationship person too, though.
Yeah.
But you like taking a relationship that you have and making it very deep. I like having lots of superficial relationships.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so. So anyway, just thought of that. That's with that, no extra charge for that little bit of wisdom. Well, listen, we're also going to cover how to argue next week. That's going to be important. It's how to argue. We'll pass along some tips that we have gotten that have really gotten us through some could have been contentious times. Anyway, thanks so much for looking. If you want to send us any kind of questions you've got, you can go to yourlifemattersright@gmail.com or just put it on my personal thing, charlesghead@gmail.com. That's Charles G as in Gmail, charlesghead@gmail.com. Send us a question. We'll be happy to cover any topic that you want.
We'd be happy to.
We are very happy, and we want to pass that along to you.
Yeah.
Bye, y'all. See ya.
Bye.